Hello boys, today we are going to see chapter 10 of our history lesson. This chapter is about the rise of communism in Russia and what all had taken place from the year 1917 to 1939 before the Second World War. As you know, Russia had participated in the First World War, but it made its peace with Germany and exited the war in 1917 by the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. Russia is a mysterious country. It was ruled until the end of 16th century by the Rurik dynasty. After that, the Romanovs took over. Romanovs ruled from 1613 to 1917. It had great rulers like Peter the Great and Catherine the Great, who tried to bring reform and modernization to Russia. They also tried to bring in the industrialization to Russia. Russia was lagging behind. As you know, industrialization took place first in England, and after that it spread all over Europe. Russia, Germany, Italy probably were the last ones to be industrialized. Russia, being a vast country and a great empire, was lagging behind. Industrialization was not only the problem that Russia had. Russia was also a country which was suffering economically and by way of agriculture. It could not produce enough food for its own people. There were food riots time and again that were taking place. There was slavery in Russia, which is called as serfdom, S-E-R-F-D-O-M, serfdom, which was abolished by the Tsar before Nicholas II. But the reform had not gone down to the roots. The farming community still suffered at the hands of the elite people and the landlords. But during this time, there was also intellectual enlightenment, consciousness that was growing. People were conscious about their rights. And therefore, there were also revolutions, small revolutions taking place before 1917. Russia was also humiliated at the world scenario by a small country called Japan in 1904-1905. This did not go well for the Tsars or the ruling dynasty. The revolution was brewing. The Duma, which is equivalent to the parliament or the senate in other countries, could not function. The Duma did not have its sitting or session for many years together. At last, when Tsar Nicholas II called his session, people could not agree. There was a revolt, and there the actual status or actual place of the Tsar was seen. Tsar had lost control over his own country. In fact, they forced the Tsar to abdicate the throne, to step down. And Lvov and Kerensky formed the government. But there was also a revolution by the communists led by Lenin in February 1917, which overthrew all the social order or political order in Russia, and the Bolsheviks took over, sidelining also the Mensheviks, who were also communists, but a moderate type of communists. The Bolsheviks were radical, led by Lenin, and Lenin took over gradually. And when he took over, he made sure that he gave a different orientation or direction to the economy and solving the problems of Russia. Russia had joined the World War on the part or on the side of the Allies. But it was a mistake. Russia did not have the resources for that. The communists, on taking up the reins of Russia, realized that it was a mistake. It made its peace with Germany and concentrated on running the government. It was Lenin who started the new economic policy, and it was a policy of rapid industrialization. But Lenin did not survive long. He died in 1925. And soon after that, it was Joseph Stalin who took over. Joseph Stalin, of course, took up with new economic policy, but he gave another orientation to his new economic policy, which is called as Gauss plan. It is a 5-year plan. 5-year plan of rapid industrialization and also systematized output, even on the agricultural sector. He made sure all the agriculture was collectivized. A systematic collectivism started. He started great process of putting all the lands under a collective system, and agriculture was under the various Soviets. Soviets is small segments. A local segment which functioned under the National Council. With the 5-year plans, Stalin made sure that there was industrialization, there was more output in industries as well as in agricultural field. But Stalin had his enemies, but Stalin was very, very ruthless with them. He made sure all the enemies were done away with. They were either killed or were sent to Siberia to work in the camps or mining fields over there. He ruled ruthlessly. On the one hand, he tried to bring in prosperity in Russia, but on the other hand, he was a dictator, and people did not have the political freedom that they really looked for. For this was the status of communism in Russia. And their aim was to spread communism everywhere. Communism is a policy. It is a system whereby an individual exists for the sake of community or for the sake of society. It borrows from the philosophy of socialism, whereby individual is not important. What is important is a community or a society. The welfare of the community or the welfare of the society is very important. And everybody works for the community or the society. It is a system which has failed. But during the time of Lenin and Joseph Stalin, they made it their point to spread communism everywhere. As a result, we had communism in Korea, in China, in Cuba, and many parts of Europe. But today, as we know, it had its own drawbacks and it has failed.